Welcome to the blah 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 show. I'm blah blah blah, and I like to talk about blah blah blah. Oh my god, Shaman's like, this is. We're still on episode 1.
Hi, I'm Seamus.
Hi everyone, I'm Barry. We're going to be talking about UI and UX design, graphic design, branding, career tips, and the business of design. Enjoy!
Welcome back to episode 2 of the Design podcast with
Woo! Bazza.
And woo!
Shazza.
Shazza. Wow. Welcome back. Well, here we are, 8:30 in the morning before work, having a wee chat, and you're in your spare room, which is
Which has been turned upside down, complete mess, books everywhere. The bed is in the wrong place.
and a cat's going to walk across any moment.
The cat's going to walk across. There's, baby things here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, craziness.
Brilliant. Well, here, I wanted to working on a project at the minute. It's a website design project. And I was working with a developer, got all the designs done, sent it off to the developer, and the developer came back to me about what sort of framework would I want to use or want him to use when developing the site. And of course I was like, oh yeah, just use the standard one.
Mm-hmm.
I had a clue what the hell a framework actually meant or what he was talking about. So did a quick Google and realized that there's lots of different types of frameworks for the responsiveness of the website, going from desktop to tablet to mobile. And there's lots of different rules for the developer. So he or she can develop a site and it aligns nicely with my designs. But yeah, so I was getting into that. But I wanted to ask you, because you guys do a lot of digital work, a lot of website design and app design, and what sort of design platforms do you use, like Sketch or Figma or XD or?
So so we've recently transitioned over to Figma, away from Sketch as a team. It's much more collaborative. At first, we were a bit dubious about being able to watch everyone in the team designing in real time. And we thought we were wondering if that would be constructive or not. But Figma have really nailed the feature on its head, really. So collaboration is just 10 times easier. You jump on a video call, you can make amends together, edit the copy, leave comments. We seem to get much more done rather than the old-fashioned way of actually just sharing files, having to load it up locally on your computer, write feedback in Basecamp. We're getting things done 10 times quicker now that we've transitioned over to Figma. They also have great templates for web design projects or app design projects, so you're not having to guess all the breakpoints when it comes to responsive design. That's really useful. And they tend to stay on top of those breakpoints as well.
So I use Sketch, or the people I work with prefer to use Sketch. I prefer to use XD, but we've been having a joint account, so we can go in and we can all make our amends, like you said. But I'm guessing when you're describing Figma's quicker when it comes to that. Is Sketch just isn't up to date? It just isn't quite.
Figma is just our personal preference, to be honest with you. I think Sketch have brought some kind of collaboration feature out as well, but I don't know the details of it. And it sounds like XD have got something as well. But Figma, for its speed, and I guess for maybe jumping the gun and bringing that feature out first, have done well out of it. And a lot of design teams have moved over to them away from Sketch, from what I can gather.
Oh, so Figma is driving that collaborative approach, and Sketch is just jumping in.
I don't know if Sketch had it in their roadmap already or how it's working, but I mean, both are great design tools. We still do use Sketch sometimes, and sometimes we have clients that have started a project in Sketch and will continue to use Sketch, and we find it useful for some things still. But Figma is our kind of design HQ for Moken these days.
And when everyone's collaborating on one document, is there any lag? Because when I'm working on Sketch and we're collaborating with maybe just one other person, I find there's a little bit of lag.
Every now and then, but it's been great, to be honest with you. If everyone's got a good internet connection, then things seem to be going fine.
So I don't know how Stuart and your team design and yourself, but when I'm designing, I like to have my artboard, which is going to be the final design. But I like throwing the research just outside of the artboard and taking references from it while I'm working.
Yeah.
Some people call it stealing. I would call it. I would say they're right. But
Innovating.
So is that the same? What happens if like Stuart wants to put some references on there? How do you feel about that? Oh, you're fine with it.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, more references the better, I suppose. If it's going to lead into better work and better collaboration, and if it helps illustrate an idea that one of the designers is trying to articulate on a call. Sometimes it's easier to grab an image from elsewhere, talk us through how it works within that application, so that we can better envision it for the work that we're producing. And you can always leave notes or comments on that piece of reference within Figma, which helps.
And then if you're wanting to share the work with a client, on Sketch you hook them up with the InVision link and they can get in there. With Figma, is it just a straight up Figma link and they can get in and have a look at it, or?
Yeah, so you can provide access through Figma to the client, and they can comment and provide feedback in the actual design document, which is also super useful. Some of our clients like to make small amends themselves as well. So we'll provide. Usually,
isn't that what account handling is for?
Yeah, we try and avoid it, but sometimes it happens still if they insist, just to get their point across. But a lot of the time, it's just amending the copy and helping us out. So,
my team hide me from any client feedback because it's usually quite brutal, and I'm probably a bit too sensitive to hearing that's rubbish. So they filter everything out and tell me, and it makes my life a lot more pleasant.
Wait, how do they hide you from that? Aren't you the lead designer?
Yeah, well, because we have an account handling team, and they take my work and they present it to the client, and they get the feedback, give it to me, or they get the brief from the client, and they do all client relations, and then sometimes I'll do design presentations, just saying like, this is the vision, this is what we're doing. Like, it's probably more passion comes from it because I'm fully in it, and I probably haven't communicated everything visually as much as I would do verbally, and trying to communicate that account handling to then communicate to a client. It's just an extra step. So sometimes I would get involved, but mostly I sit at the computer all day, every day, and get it done.
Yeah, and that's the perks of having a very skilled and experienced account handling team as well, right?
Oh, they're brilliant.
That's amazing. Yeah, that they can do that for you and accurately represent your thoughts and feelings.
So you're recommending Figma? It's the primary go-to website and app design toolkit.
I'd say so at the moment. I'd recommend Figma, and they have a free plan as well. So if you're just starting out and you want to learn the ropes, it's a great place to start. They also have a community feature, so you can see what other people are working on, see their portfolios, and people upload templates and themes and all kinds of stuff there, so you could deconstruct them and recreate them or use aspects of them in your own project if it comes with the right license. So
do you think places like Shopify and Squarespace, do you think they'll jump into this arena where you can design on a platform and then it just builds it for you, rather than designing it live while building the website?
I don't know. I think with Shopify and Squarespace, they're like, what you see is what you get. But that's within as you mentioned earlier, their own kind of framework, which still to this day, from what I understand, is quite rigid unless you have some developer knowledge and you can create bespoke stuff yourself. But I think this is, they're different markets as well. Figma is for professionals and people wanting to be professional designers. And Squarespace are targeting, the small business owner that doesn't care too much, I suppose, about design, but they want to offer something that works and works well. Hence why there's so many templates for them to choose from.
Got it. Would you ever do the social media content for Moken? Would you ever create that on Figma, or would you ever use it for any other projects?
Yeah, we do. We do sometimes use Figma. We'll create dribble shots, and stuff for Facebook, and the odd post for Instagram as well.
But back in the day, I used to do everything in Photoshop. How rigid is
same.
that? I remember Stuart. He was working for a project and made him design a website in InDesign, and this was like 2014 or 15, so it's not that long ago. And we were like, "What is wrong with those people?" And that's Photoshop.
Did he finish the project? Is it possible?
Well, why would you work at somewhere that is just so far behind?
Yeah,
it's quite funny.
Amazing. Yeah, have you had any thoughts around that?
No, like that sentence is all I got.
Oh,
I have not thought.
Well, actually, so earlier this week, I saw a photo of you as maybe a 10-year-old holding a fish with your bare hands. So, are you going to talk me through this? Is this something that you did as a kid? Were you famous? Were you the bare-knuckled fish flopper? Like, did you go? Is that
bare-knuckled fish flopper? That's the name of that's the name of the episode.
Like, what did you guys do? Like, as a kid?
Hold on. This is the bare-knuckle fish flopper. Where did you?
Yeah.
What is that, like a bare-knuckle fighter?
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. I said I was awake all last night thinking of stuff. It took me all night to think of that.
Did you jump out of bed? Feet didn't even touch the bed. You just jumped out of bed, landed on your feet, and you're like, "I've got it."
But is that what you did for fun back in those days? It's a huge fish, and if TikTok was around, you'd have gone viral. You'd have gone viral. The bare-knuckled fish flopper. That would be your profile name.
It sounds like a porno.
What a lad. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if it was a porno. You were like 10.
Yeah, inappropriate. Sorry. So we went on holidays to France every year. Sounds very posh, but we were in a caravan. And we used to drive down from the north of Ireland, through Ireland, over through past your hometown in North Wales, down through England, then down through France in a caravan. It took us about a week. And I can't remember, I think it was North France, that campsite we were in. I just had a lake and we went fishing and I caught a fish. My dad took a photo of me with the fish.
And it's a cover up. It's a cover up.
It's not.
You're a fish tickler.
Fish tickler.
You walk through all the streams tickling the fish.
I didn't even have a rod. Just jumped in. Yeah, just jumped in, grabbed it, put a t-shirt on, and took a photo.
Yeah, pow.
And then I think actually the next day we were out fishing again in the lake. It was a tiny lake. I could swim in it. I can barely swim. It's a tiny lake, and I was sitting there, and it was by 7 a.m. in the morning, and I sort of dozed off a little bit while I was fishing, and then I woke up and my fishing rod wasn't in front of me anymore. It was in the lake. Some fish grabbed it, took the bait, and the fishing rod went.
So you chased the fish.
Chased the fish, got in, found a bigger one, got his big brother, and took a photo of him.
Wow.
Didn't need it.
The rest is history.
Oh yeah, no, I had it raw as well, alive and raw.
Oh yeah.
What is it? Bare-knuckle fish flopper.
Yeah, the bare-knuckle fish flopper that likes to go after French fish.
That has to be a t-shirt.
Plenty of fish merch coming up.
Yeah, maybe we should turn that into a podcast episode photo.
Yeah.
The fish fingers.
Oh yeah, I mean the designer. We were having fun with that photo.
I think it was a trout. Was it a trout? Carp? Don't
I
know.
don't
They all
know.
look the same.
It's the manliest thing I've ever seen you do. Anyway.
What?
So you're going to Cornwall next week, and we spoke about Cornwall, I think, in our very first episode. But the highlight of the topic of Cornwall was how you snuck out, and you said you were going to Sainsbury's, but you went to the Cornish pasty shop.
Yes.
So, are you going to redeem yourself and buy everyone a bunch of pasties?
So there's a spare car at Nicole's parents' house, which I'll jump into, and I'll have a little recce around the town. But before I usually do that at lunchtime, because I'm usually working from home, I would say, lads, anyone from the shop, I'm going to go to Sainsbury's. And I just go to the Cornish pasty shop and forget to go to Sainsbury's. And I just get myself a pasty and sit in the car and blast some music.
You're such a pasty slut.
Pasty slut. Can that be the name of the episode?
We've got 3 names for the episode so far.
Pasty slut.
What was the first one? So we've got pasty slut, bare knuckled fish flopper, and
we're not beating bare knuckle fish flopper. That's as good as it gonna get.
We're not going.
Bare knuckle fish flopper. How did you come up with that? That is.
It was an epiphany.
Fucking hell, that's brilliant. That is so good. 10 minutes later and I'm still class.
I'm gutted. We forgot the first name. Go on, tell me more about Cornwall and the plans.
So we're getting married in September 2022. We've got the venue, caterer, photographer, and ceremony sorted out. So my parents are coming over to see the venue, check out the church where we're going to get married. I'm going to check out the church as well. I haven't seen the church. I've only seen it from the outside.
Oh, nice.
Because we could only look at it during lockdown, so I couldn't get in. So we're going to go check that out.
That's exciting. So your parents are joining and staying for a couple of days as well?
A couple of days, and I got a couple of days off, and we're just going to hang out, play with the dog, get some pasties, as in singular. Me go get some pasties. So really looking forward. Yeah, for myself, obviously.
A week's supply.
Yeah, so I can't wait. Really looking forward to getting down. The autumn's great down in Cornwall. The summer's amazing, but autumn and spring are brilliant down there. So
yeah, just as the tourists start to leave.
Yeah, definitely. That's when we booked. That's why we booked the wedding in September. We got what I always thought was the last weekend of summer and the first weekend of autumn next, 10th of September.
Yeah,
really excited.
That's great. Yeah, we're really looking forward to attending.
Yeah, you're not coming. Here, did you clean the? No, did you clean your room a bit more? Sorry, can that be the name of the episode?
Fucking house shaming me again.
I'm not. You've cleaned it up a little bit more from last week.
Yeah, it's a bit better, isn't it? Like the walls are painted, the bed is back together. Now we just need to put some shelves in the alcoves. So yeah, I've got my parents visiting this weekend as well, and they're going to help us out with a few things.
You're going to send them into that room and tidy? Just you're going to sleep in there, but make sure you tidy it before and after.
No, Dad's going to lend us his construction skills for the weekend.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Because he works close by to you, doesn't he? Actually, sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. He'll spend 2 weeks at a time, sometimes 3 weeks at a time in North Wales if he's got a job that he's needed on. Yeah, so they live in the West Midlands and they've got a base up here as well, but it's just a caravan, and sometimes they stay with us.
Oh, exciting! What type of caravan? Tell me about the caravan. I talk to you about caravans all day.
Just a holiday caravan.
Talk about caravans and horses and carts. And
why is that?
Fish fighting.
Is this your culture?
So, yeah, culture. For those who can't see, I'm doing this in here, which is...
They still can't see, and they don't know what this is.
So yeah, I wanted to ask you about project fatigue. I've been working on that website project and a few other projects, and sometimes I, as a designer, sitting in front of a screen all day, having conversations with people around me, but mostly 90% of my job is pushing pixels, as you used to call it when we were in university. So I'm sort of getting to the point where after about 4 weeks of 5 days a week, working on one project, I'm starting to not lose interest, and not lose motivation, and not take my foot off the gas. But I just get this sort of project fatigue at the end of the day. I'm like, oh,
So are you working on the same project day in, day out at the
same
moment?
project day in, day out.
Is it the web design project?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess it's like what you're used to as well. Like you work on usually big creative projects, advertising campaigns as such. And then if you transition then over to web design where there's more rules to follow, it must suck a little bit of that creativity out of you as well, which must be tough.
Point.
Yeah. That must be tough for somebody like you. Is there no way of breaking the day up, even if there's another task or another account that you could get your creative juices flowing on for an hour or an hour and a half, helping out another designer whilst they maybe they could like peer review your work or something like that?
I never actually thought about it like that. You've really hit the nail on the head. It's not just designers who get project fatigue. It's probably just me and my personality and how I work, because I spend a lot of time working in streetwear, and it's like the t-shirt never lies flat like a piece of paper would, or a printout would, and the t-shirt's always crumpled and sitting, and there's lots of shadows, and so the graphic that you create only has to be 80% finished. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, because it'll never look perfect, because the essence of it being a fabric. So that's sort of designing quite freely and not having too much pressure, and doing whatever you want, and looking at trends and then adapting the trends, and then you do your design, we sell it, and then you move on to the next design, and you'll never see that design really again. And then, as you said, I'm moving from that into a website design project, which is intricate, full of rules. How does that button react when it goes to mobile, and if it has to go to German?
There's also a limited amount of outputs and ways that you can design an interaction for it to be usable. So, you can't actually do anything too wacky. The idea is to keep it simple. So yeah, I guess it's that transition of mindset as well, which, as a skilled designer, you're used to. But I know you lean more towards the creative and blue sky thinking, big idea approach, usually. So might be something to consider.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to my project manager and say, like, and when it comes to doing a website design, I'm going to you have to give me some space and give me some extra things to do during the week. But I don't get like project fatigue when I'm doing a rebrand, doing logos and colors and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because I enjoy it, but it's down to your point where I just want to fire a whole bunch of graphics on a page and crack on with them, and then narrow it down. Rather than being quite intricate.
That's how you express yourself.
Does any of your team members at Moken, do you find any of them have project fatigue? And if they do, how do you work with it, and how do you combat that?
We have the designers at Moken work across a variety of projects all the time simultaneously. I think the fatigue for us comes from sometimes having too much work, or if we have more demanding clients than usual, then it can cause a bit of stress, which can bring team morale down sometimes, but we tend to counteract it, and we're quite good at saying no to things that we think we should say no to and not work on, or push back on deadlines. So yeah, not that I can think of that's comparable to what you're saying, but in terms of workload, there's definitely some work-related stress and fatigue that we have to deal with at times. But we handle it, work through it, and we always come through stronger with better processes at the end of it.
And when you're in your mode of getting new clients for the businesses, do you experience that? Do you ever say no to clients? They're not quite right for you, and if you do, what type of clients are they? If you don't mind answering that.
So we still primarily work with startups that are going through investment rounds and either need a prototype or their first round of design work completed, so that they can move on for more investment. Having said that, we do work with established companies as well that have us on retainers. So we have, we're a team of 8 in total. So when we hit a certain amount of hours per month, I have to take the foot off the gas with sales. So last month we were so rammed that, we had invites to send. I think it was like between 10 and 15 proposals to new clients who wanted to work with us. But we were just having to say no because we just didn't have the capacity, and we didn't have the network to bring in a trusted designer to work on those projects at that point in time. We're always expanding on our roster by trialing designers and making sure that they're up to scratch before we put them on projects. But last month, we kind of hit our limit of how many hours we could deliver per month, which is great. It's a good problem to have. But sometimes we say no to work.
What's your favorite shortcut?
My favorite shortcut is through the park to the corner shop so that I can get my chocolate at dinner time.
Oh, I'm so glad I did this podcast with you. You're so dick.
Yeah. My shortcut is hire a designer.
Hire a designer and buy a hammock. That's your shortcut.
That's my motto in life. So coming back to the whole fatigue thing, at the end of a long day, what do you do to switch off and to relax? You've been designing a website for 7 hours, 8 hours straight. Now you've got more work to do, really, but you need to switch off in the evening. And obviously with all remote working, I think you do a little bit in the office, don't you, and a little bit at home. How do you transition into home mode and relax?
CBD.
Nice.
I really struggle with switching off in the evenings on those types of days, which gets me fully wired. I know that there's more work to do and another 3 hours work and I'd be in a really good place, but it is 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at the end of the day, and I've got to stop. I've got life, so I've got to continue on with it as well. And there's always stuff to do. And I really struggle to switch off after a day like that. And I'll be awake until maybe 2 or 3 in the morning because I'm just so wired from it. And I'll just my mind be racing. And I haven't quite figured out how to switch off yet after those days. But on the days where it's just an average design day and crack on, I know I've got a whole week to design a project, then switching off in the evening's fine. I can crack on, but it's those days I haven't quite figured it out yet. But CBD seems to help get the sleep.
Work in progress.
Yeah, I take it just before I go to sleep on those days, and it feels like you're getting into a nice hot bath.
Okay.
But do you ever find after an incredibly tense day that you haven't quite nailed what you're working on, but with an extra couple of hours you could, but you can't because it's the end of the day and you've got to stop?
Yeah, I think for me it's work follows me around. So wherever I go, it's Slack's on my phone, Basecamp's on my phone. I'm quite accessible to all of our clients, even when on holiday. So, I mean, I love staying in the loop and everything, but I think my equivalent would be maybe up late at night when we've got clients on the other side of the world and they're just starting their day, resisting checking in with them and checking on the work and checking the feedback out of hours, because that keeps you wired, like you said. And I also have those nights, where I stay up or can't get to sleep because I've checked something just before going to bed that a client has said, and then all of a sudden I'm trying to solve that problem before going to sleep in my mind when I physically can't do anything to change the situation.
I found I got it a lot when I was working in streetwear because you're given a mood board for that theme, that story, and you've got to create as many graphics as you can within that one day or 2 days. You're given 2 days to work on it. The first day you've come up with loads of great ideas, but it's 7 o'clock. You've got to stop, and then I struggle to switch off then as well, because I know there's so many more graphics and ideas to be done, because the mood board is just so vivid, and it sparks loads of ideas. And then again, it comes 12 o'clock at night, and I'm like, oh, I could do that. So having my phone beside me helps. But when you're talking about clients and they're messaging you going, I don't actually like this project, and it's 12 o'clock at night,
it's usually very positive.
This is what we need to change this, that, and the other. I'm sure that's quite stressful, and I'm sure that's quite stressful for when you're on your holidays as well. You never really switch off.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes.
That's the game.
Yeah, exactly. Hi everyone, I'm Barry, the owner of the digital design agency Moken.digital. We team up with startups, agencies and founders to design digital products and websites. If you're interested in learning more about the work we do at Moken, you can visit our website at www.moken.digital, and you can also check out our Instagram at @wearemoken.
Stuart, who's Stuart? Let's tell the world who Stuart is.
Stuart is the lead designer at Moken, essentially, but he's also a friend of ours, a dear friend of ours, and we met him at university also. So yeah, he's the lead UI UX designer at Moken. And he's an awesome designer also.
I think I lived with him for 7 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that guy. Remember that guy?
That guy, yeah.
Yeah, so listeners might hear us mention Stuart every now and then. Mutual friend.
Stu the Pooh. Don't tell him I said that.
I've just come across a joke, Seamus. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
What do you call a lazy UX designer?
I don't know, Barry. What do you call a lazy UX designer?
Slack. Oh yeah.
Oh, that got me more than it should have. Yeah, I like that one.
Maybe we should have a weekly dad joke.
Going to the pub after work as well, which is exhilarating.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
With colleagues or?
Yeah, with work people, with actual people that I work with. We'll go out for drinks and talk and like face to face in person.
You're not going to a virtual pub then?
No, it's not a Facebook event.
Not yet.
Oh, segue. Can we talk about that now?
Okay, go for it.
Right. For those who aren't aware, Facebook has come out with a product called Horizon. Is it called Workspace? Horizon Workflow? Something crap like that.
What Horizon Workspace.
And they have created a virtual reality room where you put on your virtual reality headset, the Facebook Oculus headset, and then you scan your desk, and then you're in a virtual reality room with all your other colleagues having a wee chat. I've got a few opinions on it.
Yeah.
I got one major opinion on it.
Virtual collaboration. Yeah, I'm interested to hear your opinion on it. Go for it.
Well, it sucks ass because we can't even...
We're building everyone up, and then you say that.
We're all struggling here to share a screen on Zoom, and they expect us to put on a £300 face mask thingamajig and then scan our desks and download an app and then, make an avatar, a cartoon person of myself, and then sit in a 360 degrees room with a bunch of characters.
It sounds awesome. You just
it does sound awesome.
Dressed as Spider-Man, talking to your CEO. I mean, how can you beat that?
If it was actual real video, real graphics, close enough graphics. Anyways, I don't like it. What do you think?
I watched a review of it yesterday. I watched the video, and it was a bunch of journalists, and they were testing it out. And it's actually really fancy. So you use the handpieces of the Oculus to kind of scan your physical desk. And you can also beam your computer in and your keyboard in. So when you're actually looking at your desk, and when you're touching your desk in virtual space, you're actually touching a physical hard object in real life as well.
Yep.
So
like your keyboard.
It's really, it's merging both worlds. I don't think it's there yet. And you can type on your virtual keyboard and save all your documents, and you can use Slack just as you would outside of the Oculus, but within virtual reality. And whilst all these journalists were giving it a go, Mark Zuckerberg just beams in avatar mode.
Really?
He
hijacked the meeting.
He just turned up like he owns the place.
Oh.
And I guess he does.
I'm guessing he sort of knew that. I wonder how he knew that meeting was happening.
I think he had a video chat with them beforehand, but they weren't expecting him to beam in.
Oh, yeah. Well, he wasn't completely watching us all on our screens. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, I think it's fascinating. I think they're pushing boundaries. And we've already said on one of our other episodes that virtual reality is probably the way forward, like one of the latest technological advancements in the workspace and maybe gaming in the near future. So I'm excited purely because I think Facebook know it's not the finished product, but it's beta and it's going to improve over time. And eventually we are going to have something that is amazing.
Yeah, it's in 5 years' time, isn't it?
Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, 5 years' time it'll be living in the meta stream. Is that the words they use? I can't remember.
I think you said the metaverse.
Metaverse, yeah.
Yeah,
well, we're both big fans of the Oculus, and we're both big fans of virtual reality. This is a beta version, as you said, but it feels quite rushed. You know, people are all at home, working at home during lockdown, and they've come up with a solution that just, I don't think has hit the mark. I think it might be just a user experience point of view and a user interface point of view. One day we might be there, but I think it's sort of fell flat. Yeah, probably worth doing, like, obviously, but you know, I work in an office, you know, with people with numbers of people in there, and we see each other twice a week. But I was really interested in your point of view. We both found it interesting, but would you actually implement it when you run a company that everyone is remote?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I don't know if I'd implement it purely on a work basis, but more a team bonding aspect, sharing a space to have a coffee break, to get to know each other better, just to kind of one up on a video call, to have a game of virtual table tennis on your lunch break, that kind of thing.
Yeah, fair enough. So
I think that would help.
One day you'll be buying everyone from the company an Facebook Oculus.
I was thinking about it yesterday. I don't know, maybe Christmas is around the corner.
Yeah. Everyone doesn't get a bonus. They all get a Facebook Oculus.
Yeah, that's a bonus.
Well, yes, that's my opinion on the Facebook Horizon workspace. It's not quite there yet.
Okay. Cool.
Hopefully one day we will be. Again, I've said it 100 times for the past 10 years. Why can't they just turn screens into fabric and paint? And we could just sort of paint our walls, and then we can fire myself into the jungle. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah. Okay. Let's park that one there. That's it from us. Thanks for listening to the Design podcast.
Thanks for joining us. Hi, I'm Seamus. No, hello. No, hi. So welcome to the...
Welcome to the show.
No.
Take next.
Why don't you, have you got a
I wasn't even recording from my end. I did that.
Okay. I'm recording now. So is it episode 3? Which episode are we actually on? We don't know. It's not episode 3. It has to be. It's episode 2. Fuck you, James.
No swearing. Keep that language to an interview.
Well, I was listening.
I talked about it. Harry's dick.
Well, yeah. And you say fuck a lot. And you also talk about some guy with his knob out on a video call. I think that's episode 1.
Welcome to the Design, Design, and Design podcast.